Greetings to everyone from Church Extension Ministries. I'm here with Dan Hoffstetter this afternoon, and we're in the beautiful Ole Valley, Pennsylvania area, and we're inside the Ole Bible Fellowship Church. And you may be wondering, why are you in Ole? Well, we're in Ole because of the past year and a half, we have been doing demographic work and investigation into a church plant about 6.5 miles north of us here in Topton, Pennsylvania, an area that has no evangelical churches preaching the gospel in its community of over 2,000 people, along with the Albertus community next to it, and then moving into Lower Macungie. So a task force was formed last year, made up of a number of pastors from the Berks County Bible Fellowship Church region and several others to investigate the possibilities of a church plant in Topton. And so for the past year and a half, we have been meeting, discussing, praying especially for God's leading to plant a church in Topton. And we come to the point now where we believe, after all the study and after all the investigation, Topton needs a church like the Bible Fellowship Church that will preach the gospel and make disciples. We also believe that God has sent to us a man to do the work of church planting there, and that's Dan Hoffstetter. He comes to us from Gloucester, Massachusetts, where he's been pastoring. But he's familiar with the Bible Fellowship Church, kind of grew up in the Calvary Bible Fellowship Church in Coopersburg, Pennsylvania, and knows about us. And even this morning, he finished off his last test for credentials in the Bible Fellowship Church, which now allows him to receive a call. And so Church Extension is working on that call right now to put it together and present it to Dan, and also raise the support for the call. I'm going to ask Dan to give us a little bit of an understanding of how he got here with us, why he's moving from Massachusetts to Topton, and also just to tell us a little bit about his vision and his desire to do church planting in the Topton community. So Dan, good to have you with us this afternoon, and I'm going to ask you to answer those questions that I just posed.
Yeah, it's good to be here, and yeah, it's been quite the journey. Like you said, I grew up in the Coopersburg area, was saved at Calvary in Coopersburg, and in college went off to Eastern, felt this call to pastoral ministry, went up north to Massachusetts to Gordon Conwell for seminary, which is what led me up there. Thought I'd begin my degree and heading off, and sure enough met my wife up there, got plugged into a church up there where either in volunteer or part-time or full-time, I've been on staff there for about 7 or 8 years now. And about a year ago, as Heidi and I were talking about what our next steps are in ministry, we just really were feeling like it was time for us to move and do a new thing, and particularly move down back into the Eastern Pennsylvania area. So as we were exploring those opportunities, we got in touch back with former pastor at Calvary and Tom Shorb, and asked, Tom, what's going on in the BFC? And he said, well, there's a couple of options out there. And he said, have you ever thought about church planting? And it was interesting because Heidi and I had just recently started thinking about church planting, and when we talked about it, we kind of said, we don't know what that means, and we're thinking through maybe perhaps in a couple years we could think about it. And so it was really interesting. So we got in touch with you, and we met down at Jack's Diner right in the heart of Topton there.
Good old Jack's.
Yeah, and it really just spoke to us. We really felt the Spirit move as we sat there and we drove around and we prayed and looked at the area, and just really felt like God is preparing a good work in that area. So particularly, why Topton? I think from what we've been able to discern over the last 6-8 months here, 2 big reasons why we're really excited to plant this church at Topton. First is, like you said, it does not have a gospel presence, and for us, our heart really is for the lost. We really are looking to do a work for the gospel in a place where it's needed, not just another church on another corner in a town where there's plenty of evangelical churches, but to really go into an area that is dark and is lost, and to be able to bring the light of the gospel and meet the spiritual need there with gospel truth is really exciting to us. Second is that small town feel. I mean, you think about Topton, you say, why would anyone want to move to a place like Topton, Pennsylvania? Well, where we're serving now, although it's in the city of Gloucester, is 33,000 people, the small little section that our church is located in is in the small little village called Lanesville, about 2,000 people, a couple mom and pop shops and coffee shops, and we've just learned over the years just the importance and the fruitfulness of making relationships in a small town, in a small community, and serving them with gospel love. And so we're really excited to be able to do that in Topton, to get to know the people there and to just show them that we deeply care about Topton and the people who live there.
For years, or I should say years ago, one of the ways that the Bible Fellowship Church grew was through churches planting churches, And this, where we're sitting, Holy Bible Fellowship Church, is a product of a vision from our Fleetwood Bible Fellowship Church wanting to plant a daughter church, yet only 6 miles away from them, But they realized something that is, I think, a key church planting principle, and that is the best way to reach a community is to be a church in the community. Tell me about your thoughts concerning that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We're excited, and the Lord has answered prayers already that we are hopefully closing on a house right in downtown Topton in the coming month. And that was a huge answer to prayer, because we really feel like although we won't be insiders for a long time, if ever, we really needed to be in the community to make an impact. We did not want to look like we were, the church from Fleetwood coming into Topton, or the church from Alberta coming into Topton. For us, we're really excited probably in the first several months, and this is why we're excited about this incubator proposal, David, is that we get that opportunity to worship here in Ole and to kind of prepare ourselves while also being in the community in Topton and meeting our neighbors and meeting the store owners and the restaurant owners and the volunteer fire department, and going in and just making those relationships and saying, hey, this is who we are, and we really care about you. We're here because we care about you, and the church is here because we care about you. Again, we're not interested in your money. We're not here for personal career advancement. We're here because we deeply care about this city, and we want you to hear the salvation that comes in the gospel.
Yeah, this Incubator Project, of course, is new to Church Extension to a certain degree. We've been promoting multiplication of churches, churches planting churches, daughter church planting. But to start off a church planter within an established church, to meet the people of that church, gain a core group to be launched out and so forth. What are you looking forward most to this incubator type concept of planning a church?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this, actually, and I think it's a really good way to go about starting these new church plants, because for someone like myself who's coming out of an established ministry, who's kind of run down from that, first off, it affords my family and I an opportunity to just take a deep breath before we jump in to this new church plant. So we can be here in Ole, we can worship, we can get plugged in and have our own souls spiritually fed, while also being afforded that flexibility and opportunity to be out in Topton and to start laying the groundwork that's necessary there. The other huge benefit is here in Ole having several families who attend here, who live in Topton, and being able to be with them for 6 months and to grow together, to cast vision together, to just get excited about this together and see and pray together and see what God's going to do. It's such an advantage instead of just hoping that a team from over here would join a church planter who's over here who they've never met and hope that they hit it off. Instead, to be able to work together and to grow together and to be able to leave this church and be prepared to launch a church in Topton where this is a team mentality where we're going together to do this good work. And it's not, this is Dan's church planter, this is, Dave Gundrum has a guy over here, but really, this is the team that is now going to plant this church.
Yeah, and of course, Topton is the target site. It's the heartbeat of your church planting efforts. It's going to be the heartbeat of your church planting efforts. But also, Albertus is right next door, Lower Macungie there. And again, 2 areas that are growing and developing, and without a real strong gospel ministry there. And so how do you see, the work even expanding north into those areas?
Yeah, I mean, the hope again is, like you said, is to start in Topton and to really reach that community. But those towns over there, and you know this, David, are really, I'll use the word tribalistic. They are very much, have town pride, if you will. So starting in Topton and saying we're a church in Topton, a church for Topton, and then being able to go into the Long Swamp, the Mertz towns, and to say, hey, you've had to, if you are a believer, if you're seeking, you've had to drive far away to get to these churches, either up in Kutztown or Fleetwood or even down to Ole or Briningsville or these different areas, Macungie, to be able to say, there is a church right here in your own backyard, and again, just to be able to branch out into those areas and to bring the gospel where it really hasn't existed for a while. You
triggered a thought of mine. I pastored the Quakertown Bible Fellowship Church for a number of years, and before I went there, they had a logo. Their original building was in the heart of Quakertown, and their logo or their motto was "In the heart of Quakertown, for the hearts of Quakertown." So you can pick that up.
Yeah, I'm going to use that.
Anything else you want to share before we say adieu?
No, like I said, I'm thankful to be in this process, and it's really exciting to see the good work that God's going to do here in the Berks County area, but particularly in the Topton, Alberta's Long Swamp, Mertztown area. And we would just covet your prayers. I mean, as we are preparing, as we're transitioning, there's a lot of moving pieces. But we're really excited to be back in the Bible Fellowship Church and to start this new work.
Yeah, we have been working with all the churches in Berks County, trying to keep them aware of what's going on. A number of them, because of the close proximity to Topton, have been very involved with working with Dan and working with the project. And so we covet your prayers. We really want you to pray for Dan and Heidi and the children as they make this move to Topton from Massachusetts. Also pray for his incubation period here in Ole, that he would be able to develop a strong core group to eventually be launched into a work in Topton. And also pray for God to support the work through the giving of the churches and individuals to financially support our brother and the call that we're about to give to him. So thank you again for being with us this afternoon. It's a beautiful day here in Ole. I hope it's beautiful where you are. And we're trusting the Lord to expand his kingdom through evangelistic church planting.